Greetings programs, welcome back to Crusader Kings 2, and the reason why we're looking at CK2 rather than my Tankfest video is because I've basically spent all day downloading footage from Wargaming, because they very kindly have provided some footage for all the community contributors to use, but my internet pigeons are really struggling to get it all. In fact, I'm not even bothering to get it all. I'm trying to get the important bits, mostly the arena stuff, because I wasn't able to get a lot of pictures of the arena stuff. But even so, it is taking a very, very long time indeed. I must have downloaded maybe 20 gig of video today, and about half of that was from the Friday stuff, the community contributor day that I mostly missed, and I was keen to get some clips of that in as well. But unfortunately, Wargaming, although they have provided all this for us guys to use, they haven't actually labelled any of it. It's literally just the automatic video titles, so I have no idea what I'm getting when I download this. I have to download it to look at it to see what's useful and what's not. So yeah, that has put it back, and it's gotten to a point in the evening where I've decided right now I'm just going to do CK2, because I was going to do CK2 over the weekend anyway, so here we are. So where we left off, while we're waiting with bated breath for this particular inheritance to happen, we are thinking, or I am thinking, about making moves into Scandinavia, and we'll have more on that in a moment. And I'm also still in this war with Poland, which I'm just basically waiting for Poland to get fed up and give me this Northern Irish province, at which point I can create the Duchy of Ulster. So that's about it as far as it goes. Somebody also asked to take a look at Trade Republics, so as we can see, Bees are still doing pretty well. The actual zones controlled, because they are all contesting control of the Irish Sea, basically, they have the majority of their trade posts around this, and no one family has overall control. So we've only actually got 3 trade zones that are lit up on the map, because it's not like even the Irish Sea is particularly, I don't know, but we're trying to make it wealthier with the addition of Dublin to the realm. We also picked up a couple of Welsh provinces, and obviously we will want to expand into Wales at some point. But for now, my immediate goal is get this province here. I'm gonna leave these for now, and I'm thinking about, well, I have several choices. Now, I talked about my long-term goals of a North Sea Empire, and somebody actually suggested make inroads into Norway first. But I'm not convinced that's the best plan, nor would necessarily be attacking Denmark, because Denmark are quite easily able to get their troops around the place. And unlike CK2, you can't blockade the straits. You can only... you'll have a defensive advantage if someone's crossing the strait to attack you, but there's no way to actually blockade with your ships. So that leaves either Sweden, which is very weak. We've got Gotland, which has Gotland itself and these 3 provinces here, and I should just check who they're allied with. They have allies with Carpathia and Norway, so they're allied with Norway. Sweden is actually allied with Norway, so that really, to my mind, leaves one clear choice, which is the tribal, I think they're all still tribal, or at least the pagan nations, the chiefdoms of Finland, because they're all quite fragmented. Now, the big disadvantage of this approach is that it will give me a border with Humania, who might then decide they want to attack me at some point. So I don't know. This might backfire spectacularly. But if I can establish a solid base in Finland, that then lets me push down into Sweden and Norway, and then eventually Denmark. So that's kind of like the shape of the plan is slowly forming in my mind. That's my goal at the moment, is to do that. But like I said, the very immediate thing is to get this one Irish province off Poland. So I've actually had 1 or 2 comments. I mean, there was one comment under the most recent video, and I've had comments into the past video. Why are you picking on Ireland? It really isn't personal. It's just if you're starting off as either England, Scotland or Wales, because Ireland is this island of fragmented counties, basically, it is by far the easiest place to expand into, especially if you're in a relatively weak position like I was with Scotland when I started. So it's a good place to get more land to build up your power base, and that's basically why I've gone for it. Alternatively, if you really want a challenge, you can actually start off as one of those Irish counts, try and build your way up, and then push over into the British Isles. So that's the kind of the inverse. It's entirely possible to do that. That's a whole bunch of messages, and mostly Tanistry messages. You always get bombarded with them at the very beginning. I'll just control-click those all away. So let's see what Poland is up to at the moment. Have they got any other wars going? No, but they also don't have any other ports apart from that one province there. So short of me going to them, which would involve, I don't know, I could ask to get access through Pomerania, I suppose. We're not on terrible terms even. But yeah, I'm not. He's actually Swedish, apparently. It's interesting. I don't know. I'm quite content to, like, we're actually getting war score just from holding this. Poland will give in eventually. Like, this is going to be a relatively bloodless war compared to some of the others I've had. Meanwhile, yes. The other thing I wanted to mention was that I'm continuing my efforts to fabricate claims to try and get the entirety of the Duchy of Northumberland, but that is part of the Duchy of Mercia at the moment, and the Duchy of Mercia is the one that keeps rebelling against the English throne. And I'm kind of wondering, maybe it's in my better interests to not take those two, at least for now. Having, you know, finally gotten that claim on Northumberland, maybe I shouldn't actually press it. Maybe I should leave Mercia in that slightly stronger position, because Mercia are proving to be a continual thorn in the side of the English crown, and that is obviously a very big advantage for me. So I'm actually having second thoughts about that. One other thing that was mentioned in the comments was that I should possibly send my bishop to Rome, and you can actually do this to reduce the risk of being excommunicated, which is pretty bad. You don't want that to happen. If you get excommunicated, it means most other rulers have a carte blanche to attack you, of the same faith, of the Catholic faith. And even your own vassals will become very, very problematic. So unless you're an exceptionally strong nation where you can just kind of shrug it off, then generally speaking, it's to be avoided. So Rees is once again asking for a fiefdom of his own, and I think he's asked me before, but I'm basically going to keep saying no, because his stats aren't particularly good, and we've got plenty of landed members of the family already. So we're building up House McJedi so that we are never really going to have a problem with the dynasty ending suddenly. So I'm just going to say I told him he is not ready. Okay, there we go. So yeah, I've sent my bishop to Rome, and in theory, it's like, where are we? If you send your chancellor to improve relations, it's like that, essentially. It's the religious equivalent. So you can send them to your own provinces to improve relations with your own bishops, or you can do what I'm doing, which is trying to improve relations with the head of the religion. And so therefore, I will be that little bit less likely to get excommunicated if I attack somebody that has a lot of influence with Rome, because they just won't do it. It's also a really powerful tactic in EU4 as well. If you can get a nation excommunicated, if you become the papal controller as a Catholic character, yeah, you can do a lot of damage to somebody that way. You can really, really mess them up quite badly. So, yeah, I'm actually thinking we'll reassign the Chancellor, and we'll reassign him over here. And we're going to attack Finland first off. We're going to attack the tribe of Satakuntans, I believe. That's how you say it. I could be wrong, but yeah. So I've sent all the Irish viewers muttering off into the sunset. I'm in the process of sending the Welsh viewers muttering off into the sunset. Now to start on the Finnish viewers. And it is a little bit out of the way, to be honest, but yeah, Denmark is a little bit too... Oh, hello. Having said that, that's a rebellious duchess. And she is attacking on behalf of, I don't even know, but she's trying to put somebody else on the throne basically, and she's actually got what, 2 duchies? Yes, no, 3 duchies. So this right here, this is why you do not let your dukes get too powerful, because if you're in this position that Denmark's in, this is literally half their country. Well, not literally, this is almost half their country. This is a very powerful duke that suddenly flipped against them, and that can cause major problems. So I think we're going to fast forward a bit here. This war score's slowly going up. I really want that to go up first. Obviously this, we have no idea when this is going to happen. I could attack Northumberland. I could do it. I mean, obviously Mercia is at war. If they lose that one province, then I could actually... if I take it, I've then got 2/3 of that duchy, and I can then usurp the title and do it that way. And that doesn't weaken Mercia quite as much, but it does improve my own position a bit. So I think we'll actually do it that way. But we'll fast forward a little bit here, like I said, and we'll try and clean up this situation here with Tyrone a bit first. So, slight change of plan. Yeah, somehow Gwyneth is attacking, well, technically me at the moment. This is not too much further on. We've just passed the year-end autosave date. I'm actually thinking we're going to intercede in this war. Now, I can't do it directly, I don't think. No. You can sometimes offer to join wars, but I think you can't offer to join the wars of your own vassals. So they are, I think it's just the Count of Dyfed down there. I'm probably saying these Welsh names horribly wrong, by the way. But yeah, we do actually have a de jure claim on the County of Gwent. And so therefore I am going to intercede in this war. Now, I actually also got a de jure claim on Kildare, but we're going to go after Gwent because that actually gives me a little bit more clout in Wales itself. And it will be, well, I think it'll be a province that I'll hold directly, but I'll divest myself of it. I'll give it to somebody else. I could also actually claim it on behalf of Duke of the Count of Glamorgan, which is... I don't actually know where he is. Anyway, but we're not going to do that. We're going to... we're just going to straight up declare war and basically help out my vassal that way. So, we need to raise some troops. I've also initiated a bit of a building program because I had quite a lot of spare money. So, yes. It's quite nice that money just hasn't been an issue at all in this particular playthrough. So I want... oh, actually, I can get more retinues. I could have another skirmish retinue, or do I want to hold on for... what have I got in there? Another pikeman retinue, maybe another defense retinue. I'm not sure. A skirmish retinue might be fine. But... I'm getting distracted. I want to raise my my fleet. So let's say these 3 provinces here, which will give me a fair whack of troops, and that is gonna give me probably enough transports from just these provinces as well. In fact, if just from the Western Isles alone, in fact, we don't even need those boats. Okay, you never really want to have more boats than you need because there's no such thing as. In fact, let's all have them march into there. Then that's probably the easiest thing, because raising boats, the maintenance is quite expensive, and it's funny. It's totally the opposite in EU4, and it was the same in EU3 as well. That it was armies in that game that are expensive. And boats are actually pretty cheap to maintain, at least the smaller boats. And if you happen to be one of the Mediterranean or Baltic nations, you can actually have like quite large, cheap fleets of galleys, which cost practically nothing to maintain. But yeah, it's just like I said, the total opposite in this game. The naval part of it just doesn't really come into it at all. So we can just about squeeze these guys into this one fleet. And we'll actually land them in Glamorgan. Oh, there's Glamorgan. We'll actually land them down there. I actually don't want him to get that, because then he'll have 2/3 of that duchy, and he'll just need to accrue enough cash to... well, he might not even do that. Well, he could sort of try and usurp it, but that's a fairly hostile action. I think, actually, you can't usurp your liege's titles unless you are, you've gone to war with them and managed to gain your independence, basically. But you can demand a title from them if you sort of rightfully have the majority of the holdings of that title. And if they decline, well, things can get to be a bit strained. So that's something you generally want to avoid if possible. So we're just going to let these guys get their morale up. We're going to dismiss that fleet that we don't need for now. And it's not ideal that they're sitting in this province with typhoid fever, which, as you can see, it does have a percentage modifier effect, but it doesn't exceed the actual the total amount of troops I can have in this province without it having an extra attrition effect. But that 5% for typhoid fever, if you are in a hostile province where you're losing troops anyway and you suddenly get that extra 5% whacked on top, that can be painful. So you've got to watch out for that, sieging hostile provinces where there's sickness of really any kind. There does seem to be a whole wave of it going through the southern half of England at the moment. So yeah, I could go off on a whole thing about Richard Malthus and Malthusianism and sort of later, I guess it'd be kind of 18th, 19th century, kind of the science behind the whole, like the notions of population growth and all that kind of thing. But that might be going off a bit of a tangent. Like, I don't even know why that occurred to me to even bring that up. But I don't know, that's just how my brain works. And also I just whacked my headphones because of course I did. Oh, I finished building a keep in Dublin, and I can't build anything else there due to low technology levels at the moment. So I'm more concentrating on improving my north of Scotland holdings at the moment. I'm thinking we'll try and hold on to Carrick, because that'd be useful. Oh, that's always, like, if you can get the castle fortifications built, like they're one of the few that don't scale up in cost. They're always pretty cheap. Oh, hello. Well, we just killed the Duke basically and smashed his army. So his son took over, and he is yeah, that's gonna have a pretty big effect. Oh, also extra money. He collected. I also collected a tithe of extra money, which is I'd forgotten I had my my steward there. Yeah, that's one of the things that can happen. A special tithe can be collected, or your steward can get attacked and seriously injured or even killed. So if you've got a very talented steward, you can make a fair whack of extra cash from your richest provinces that way. But you also run the risk of losing a very able councillor indeed. So it's one of those things where it's just, you're playing the percentages basically. You're just hoping that things work out. I should actually check my own vassals at the moment. It's a good thing to periodically check your own vassals to see who particularly doesn't like you. So is there anyone important? Oh, why does that do that? Let's just pause that for a second. Actually, let's check by rank. That's probably the easier thing. The dukes are the ones you most want to worry about. If a count splits away, generally it's not the particular problem. Right, the Duke of Leinster is... why is he -1? Crown authority, too many held duchies, and that was a thing I was trying to get rid of. And also desires the Kingdom of Scotland too, which is, Ireland. Well, there's not much I can do about the title things, but I don't know, maybe I can find some way to butter him up later. Also, this the cog thing has appeared, which means I have enough tech points in one of these branches to actually upgrade anything basically, which is always nice when that appears, but it usually means you've not been paying attention especially. So I think I should go with military organization or siege equipment are the most useful. Military organization has a big effect on your retinue size, and as you can imagine, more retinues is better, especially as I'm playing with an older version of the game before retinues got nerfed. Morale also goes up, supply limit goes up, so you get the effects of attrition less. Like, if you played this game a lot, you probably know all this, but I think I've got a fair few people watching this series that don't actually play CK2, or that have gotten into CK2 because they've watched this series. So I've had a fair few people say, actually, it's quite useful when it explains stuff like this as I'm going along. And I actually had a couple of people at Tankfest say, I really like your CK2 series. More people, and this is a fact, suck it Caption Guy, more people mentioned CK2 to me than they did Caption Guy. More people are fans of this series than they are of Caption Guy. So, you know, of the like 3 that did actually mention it, it might be a slightly small representative sample. But, you know, I'd call it statistically significant. It's probably why I'm not a scientist. So yeah, siege equipment just speeds up your ability to actually lay sieges, also improves your siege defense. So we'll actually go with that because we're looking at having a lot of wars in the near future. So we'll maybe go with military organization next time. Shipbuilding is less important, although obviously your ability to upgrade your shipyard facilities, like, you only actually need, it's not that important. You only need 1 or 2 provinces that can field a lot of ships, generally speaking, and then you can kind of pull together the rest of what you need from your other provinces. So I find it's useful to have 1 or 2 provinces that have quite well upgraded shipyard facilities, and then I kind of neglect it on most of the rest. So the ability to get like 45 ships from one province, which I can then top up with, you know, maybe another 20 ships from the neighbouring 2 provinces, it's an easier way of doing it, and I think if you go around upgrading all your shipyards, you're just wasting your gold, frankly. So yeah, and the other 2 there are just actual troop types that, you know, it's useful to improve the fighting ability of your troops. But I tend to be more of an infrastructure builder, even though I do sometimes do a lot of fighting. So this siege, will actually speed this up because this siege is just gonna go in the usual way. We have way more troops than we need, but that just makes things go faster. Castle fortifications built in forests, which is up here in Moray, and I do have a fair whack of gold. I could upgrade the shipyard, it's not really worth it. Next cheapest thing is the stables, which is an extra 55 cavalry, and also built in Tilbury. I think we'll do that, we'll build stables. I'm trying to get this cluster of provinces built up as my main troop raising provinces, so that I've got that that strong army that I can bring down from the north, because you really have to think about terrain in this game. And if you've got like in EU4, it doesn't matter, you just raise your troops from wherever, but in this game, like, my holdings are a bit scattered because I've got these 3 here, and then I've got 1 here, and then I've got these 2 here. Then I've got Cumberland here. So if you get like a civil war that splits the country, for instance, that splits your troop providing provinces, well, it's quite useful to have a big strong cluster in particular that then you could like fight your way down, join them up with reinforcements, and then go blantering whoever. So it's always useful to not let your holdings get too scattered, too disparate, because that can really work against you in the event of not even just civil wars, but wars generally. So anyway, that was a fairly quick siege of Caerwent. Then we've got Newport and Monmouth to get through. So again, we'll just speed things up a bit. Let's have a quick look at what England's... how's that war going? They also had a host war, I think, at one point, but I think that ended unsuccessfully for the host. Well, clearly it did. It's still Aelfwin Caption Guy on the throne. It'd be kind of cool if you could actually have it, like, if that was Caption Gal when it was a female ruler, but sadly you can't have the game do that. Also, that looks like a bunch of rebels. Chesterian peasant revolt. Okay, so Mercia's got peasant problems. You don't tend to see peasant armies that often. That's a fairly unusual thing. In fact, I could send my retinues down to siege Kildare. There's actually no reason why I don't do that. There's no danger of Polish troops turning up, so I might as well. So this is just a matter of some quick sieges. And meanwhile, this war score's just merrily ticking away. That's actually unusual. I mean, I probably said that in the last episode that it's unusual to get like that's how war score works in EU4. Is you get ticking war score that goes up for holding certain provinces or down if you have lost key provinces. But in EU4, in CK2 rather, it doesn't really work that way at all. Another thing I could talk about while we're having these sieges is Hearts of Iron 4, and that's actually marching towards release. I've watched a bunch of preview footage of it. Oh, here we go. Oh, that was quick. I was only at 42% war score, but he's already rolling over. So that's Gwent now as a direct holding, which we don't particularly want. I'll actually just march the armies in there and disband them. We can do that. So we need to find someone that we can give Gwent to. So yeah, Hearts of Iron 4 looks interesting. Like I never have played Hearts of Iron 3 or 2 or even the original. It's the only one of the series I haven't played because I've played the original CK2. I've played this, obviously CK. I keep saying that, the original CK2, the original Crusader Kings. I've played this. I've played EU3 and EU4, and I have played Victoria 2. But I've never played any of the Hearts of Iron series, and they're some of the most complicated and micromanagey games that Paradox has produced. And I know a couple of people that have played them, that do play them, and they the things they say about them make me think, okay, that's going to take me a long time to get into it, to get to the point where I'd be comfortable to do a series on it like I'm doing with CK2. But I'm sure there are a bunch of you who have been watching this that have looked at it and thought, okay, that seems really complex, I'm never going to get into that. And yet, here I am, quite enjoying it and playing it and having half an idea at least of what I'm doing. So it's just a matter of like if I play enough Hearts of Iron 4, which has been streamlined in some ways. Like there's a lot of things that, from what I've been reading, they've gone out of their way to make easier, less kind of daunting to the new player. So that in particular interests me. And the people that, you know, people like Arumba and Quill17 or whatever his channel name is, the stuff they've been saying has been largely positive. So yeah, I am actually, like, I do want to try Hearts of Iron 4, but we'll see when it launches how much they're asking for it, kind of thing. So yes, we actually don't have that many people in the court. And is there anyone I particularly want to I could give it to here's my I don't know, he's a bit young, he's only 9. Random courtier, decent marshal. He's got a son. Oh, he's actually matrilineally married to Leia. I wonder if I could give her the title. No, I can't. Well, if I give him the title, it'll be a member of my dynasty. A Polish. He's a Polish Muk-Jedi. Yeah, we'll give him. Yeah, we've got that. That's another one to add to the roster. So we've got Scottish, fake Scottish, Norwegian, and now Polish. Why not? She's Orthodox as well. That's a bit odd. Yeah. Okay, we'll give it to him, and that will be inherited by a Muk-Jedi, and it just kind of tickles me that he's going to be a Polish Muk-Jedi. So that does away with that problem. I still have the issue of too many held duchies. This was nearly concluded, though. I could actually give, like, I think there's no real reason why I don't maybe give I can't upgrade any of these. No, the Duchy of like, I actually hold that duchy at the moment, Dehubath. I could actually give it to one of these guys, Like, there's no actual reason why I don't do that. I was mostly holding on to it for convenience's sake. But the penalty hit, diplomatically speaking, is a little bit annoying. So, yeah, the main problem is, of course, Wales. Well, I still have a de jure reason to go to war with them in terms of Kildare. So I can do exactly the same thing again. I can effectively intercede in the war, even if I can't directly join, but I can still jump in anyway on a pretext, essentially. So we'll actually do that, and we'll give it to this guy because it's going to then be a Muck Jedi that inherits the duchy. Although actually, I'll just check his actual. You got to be careful giving too many titles to your kin because you can end up with powerful dukes. You can have dukes inheriting. So he is his uncle is the Duke of Munster, but he looks like okay. Well, I think we'll mind you. Munster's that's Munster there, isn't it? Yeah, that could end up being a fairly powerful duchy, but it would be a very split up duchy. It's when you get a big block like that that Danish duchy, which that particular civil war appears to be over. Is it still? Yes, it's still one of the Queen. However you say that, I'm not even going to attempt. Yeah, so. What's the other options? We've got a Welsh guy who's got the dynasty of Argyll, and we've got Count Caradog of. I'm not even going to pronounce that either. Like that's God damn it, Wales, with your vowels everywhere. There is seriously not a single not vowels, consonants. There we go. There's not a single vowel in that. That is literally all consonants because Welsh. Anyway, well, if inheritances happen, it'll muck up the duchy anyway. So I'm actually, yeah, we'll grant landed title. We'll give him that duchy, and that then solves my particular problem. Now that shouldn't bite me in the bum later on. Like I'm hoping it won't do, but we'll see. Meanwhile, this guy is like we can make a move here basically as soon as he fabricates the claim. Although actually we'll just check the de jure. Aha, that's a purely de jure title to begin with. It looks like. So if we look at the actual the region, that is the Duchy of Finland, and the Duchy of Finland, as you can see, is rather big. So it's not going to be a case of, oh, I'll just fabricate claims on, you know, everything within the Duchy of Finland, because that would take forever. Like, that would probably take more than the lifetime of a single king, especially with a tanistry, because with a tanistry you have a tendency to get older kings, much like with elected, you know, republics, and seniority succession as well. So because older people can, older characters can get voted in as king, basically. It limits your ability to fabricate a bunch of claims. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to, as this civil war is still going on, we'll now press this claim on Northumberland, which it's actually hard to tell. They actually seem like they're winning this war at the moment. So there's no danger of imminent collapse. Also, hello, that's reached 100%, so I can offer peace. Enforce demands, get Tyrone, absolutely what I wanted to do. And he can... he's actually got a claim on the Duchy of... oh yeah, that's right, there was various... I can't even remember half the shenanigans that have gone on in Wales and their own internal civil, you know. He's a Macduff. We'll actually give him that that title, grant landed title. Duchy, not duchy. We'll give him County of Tyrone. So I'm still planning for him to become an eventual Duke of Ulster. I think if I create more dukes at this point, I'd better make them not of the family, because we're going to maybe end up with some very messy inheritances if I keep doing that. So actually, next time I create a duchy, I'm going to give it to somebody that isn't actually one of the family, but he'll be the last one, I think. So we've still got Oriel. Once we take Kildare, I'll shift my attention down to Meath, dump Oriel on him possibly, or maybe give it to another account, because you don't, even within like a single duchy, you don't want them to be massively powerful. So I can get my troops across here. I will actually raise troops in Carrick and in Oriel also. Between them, that should be more than enough. We might want to maybe raise more troops to send down. Like, it's in my interest to get this war finished fairly quickly, so we're actually going to... Oh, peasant revolt. Hello, having said peasants revolting is somewhat uncommon. Well, yeah, you thought you'd go after that army, didn't you? We'll group them up, actually. And... We'll send them down to Lothian. That force there will be more than enough to tackle, although they're crossing a river, so that might put them at a disadvantage, but we have reinforcements on the way. Yeah, you see there, that's actually a fairly hefty penalty for attacking across a river. But peasant troops, peasant revolts tend to be easier to beat. The rule of thumb, at least in EU4, for ages and ages, was that peasant revolts were fairly easy, and then it was things like noble revolts and pretenders to the throne that were quite difficult. But they actually really ramped up the difficulty of peasant revolts, I have to say, in EU4. Like, they actually made them a bit too strong, and I think they then toned it down again a bit. Also, apparently, Colin McJedi is now known as the Chaste. So, yeah, there you go. Siege of Dunbar has been won very quickly. The Knights of Santiago have popped up in... Well, have they? In Santiago, I think? Or is it somewhere nearby? I'm not actually seeing them in Santiago. It's just taken me to the province of Santiago. Well, okay. So that's another holy order that popped up. They're useful if you're ever at war with like Muslim or pagan characters, because you can hire them cheaper than regular mercenaries, effectively, but you can only use them for those wars. You really can't get away with doing otherwise. We can actually just briefly check the ledger if I can find the right war. It's a bit tricky in the list. It doesn't let you sort very well, so you just have to kind of look for the flag. So we're looking for an English... no, I might just be missing horribly here. There's the peasant war that's been... here we go, East Anglia. And it's actually just in their favour, but only just, that 2% war score. So it means they're not losing, but they're not massively winning either. That might be one that kind of ends inconclusively even. So he's been soundly thrashed. That revolt didn't last very long. We'll actually just, you know what, we'll just go off with his head, because we can do that. It'll cost me 20 piety, which I can afford. So that'll teach you to revolt against me, your rightful ruler, because obviously, you know, I'm just the best ruler Scotland's ever had. Clearly, you know. Well, look how well we're doing. So I'm glad that Tyrone is now been folded into the realm. That looks so much neater now. Like, you will literally get people declaring wars, and you look at people's playthroughs, like, just to get their borders looking tidy. There's actually a term for it, border gore, if you have a particularly messy border. And it can really bug people if you've got just that one province in the middle that's just sticking out like a sore thumb. But anyway, so I'll actually speed this up a little bit. That's a whole bunch of messages, probably nothing important in there. He says, hoping there wasn't anything important in there. Let's see, that's English and East Anglian troops, but the English troops are getting a bit beaten. I literally just need to bump up my war score enough to get Northumberland, and then I'm not particularly fussed about prolonging this war. In fact, I want this to be a really quick war, basically, because the longer it goes on, the greater risk there is that this civil war finishes and it's just I get white peaced by default. So yes, it looks like Pisa has managed to persuade the Pope to call another crusade to try and retake their holdings in the Levant, but I don't know if they'll be successful or not. You never know. This message is just levy reinforcements plus 50%, which is always useful. So yeah, people have in the past complained that I click through those messages too fast, and I probably do a lot of the time just because I can glance at it and see, oh yeah, it's one of those. So I'm trying to not do that so much. I'm trying to actually give you time to see what the message is and actually read it out if I remember. So excuse me, I'll take a drink of water. I should actually just check who the current favoured Tannist is. It is Count of Tyrconnell. So the guy I just gave that land to. So we have done it again. I just clicked that message away, but it was fine, just siege messages, nothing important. So I've got another cog, this time in economy advances. Castle infrastructure is pretty useful. Town infrastructure, not so much unless you are a Grand Republic, obviously, although bumping it up means that vassal republics, vassal towns can also improve their own infrastructure, which is quite useful, especially universities. Universities are very nice for increasing the spread of technology. Church infrastructure is probably quite low priority for most people. Improved keeps tends to be to do with your defenses, trade practices. One of the most important ones when you are a trade republic. Construction just helps speed things up. So again, that one's fairly low priority. So I'm thinking either improved keeps or castle infrastructure for this one. And I'm actually thinking, yeah, castle walls and keep 4. Now, castle walls obviously increase your defenses. Keep increases the number of troops that you can actually raise from your like it's a flat percentage increase, which is then obviously modified by your actual martial skill. So that means I can get keep level 4, which is plus 20% to both levy and garrison size. Which levy size, obviously, the garrison size rather helps with the defensibility of your holdings as well, because the more men you have defending, the longer sieges will take for the enemy. Okay, the Chancellor of Durham has been trying to fabricate a claim, but that doesn't matter. Or he has fabricated a claim, but that really is not... yeah, he's just wasted a bunch of his own cash there. So that's unlikely. So that's not even Mercia. That's this guy. That's the Bishop of Durham, who it would be, well, you know, if he decides to declare war on me, you know, that's Durham and this is Scotland. So best of luck with that. But I don't think that will go so well for you if you do try it. But yeah, we're just building up this war score, and this is actually. I mean, it's easier in a way than the Poland one. The Poland one involved waiting an awfully long time, but this one I can actually actively do something about. Also, this video is turning into a bit of a long one, but we're having you know, we're having a jolly good time attacking various bits of the country. I mean, we've gotten Tyrone, we've gotten Gwent, we've laid plans. So you know, I feel like this has been a pretty productive episode so far, and we have a peace offer. And he's offering the County of Northumberland, and I'm going to say absolutely. Now, that doesn't mean I can straight away jump in and usurp the actual duchy. I have got 2/3 of the provinces. I have most certainly got the cash, but as we shall see, because he is at war, I basically... You can't do it. In fact, I think I actually need to do it through this screen here. Northumberland... Usurp. Can't usurp title from someone who's at war. So we require further patience, basically. So we'll split off the retinue. We'll send that up to Moray, and I've sent both armies up there, haven't I? Which one's the retinue army? That was just the regular army. Okay, and oh, Tanis Ki Adimundi is no longer Chancellor. So that was Duke of somewhere? Was he Duke of... No, not Albany. I don't actually know. But we need a new Chancellor and we need to send him over to Finland. So we have the Mayor of Stornoway has the ambition to become Chancellor. He's got a fairly high skill. He's going to be skill 17 Chancellor, which is pretty... That's not to be sniffed at. We'll send him all the way over immediately. And is there anyone else? I should just do a quick check while I'm here. No, we've got the Duke of Dehubath, but he doesn't have an ambition, so there's no point. Like, I could swap them around, but that would just pointlessly annoy this other Duke, Duke Cospatrick. The Steward is not particularly important, but there's nobody better. Spy Master is pretty damn good. You'd have to do quite hard to find someone better than 22. And the Bishop is actually, we have the Bishop of Armagh actually is very competent indeed. He's very good at bishoping. That was the thing in the last episode, right? Which bishop can bishop better than the other bishop? So we'll do exactly the same. We'll pack him again off to Rome to improve relations with the Pope. I don't think the last guy really produced many results, but yeah. So anyway, we are in a very healthy state indeed. I mean, this is looking very good indeed. We'll have a quick last look around the map. There's not too much has changed since the beginning. Byzantium's still looking fairly solid. So the Fatimids there, the Seljuks, Cumania's like, I'm gonna have to keep an eye on Cumania because if they start pushing into Finland, that will cause me problems because that's where I've got my eyes set for now. But England continues to be beset by problems. I'm actually of a mind to maybe not, like, I could totally destroy England, but maybe I don't have to. Maybe it would be more humiliating to just leave a tiny little rump left of England. Just leave a little, like a couple of counties left with a kingdom title just to really rub it in. Because I can get the Irish, the Scottish and the Welsh kingly titles, and that's enough to form Britannia. Don't actually need the English title as well. I just need the territory. So yeah, I'm thinking maybe I could do that just to, you know, I could totally extinguish House Caption Guy. Well, actually, probably not totally. There'd still be members floating around various places. But no, I'm thinking maybe it's better to, you know, to have a slow simmering revenge and just let him weep quietly in the corner as his kingdom is reduced to practically nothing. So, you know, that could be a thing. So yeah, we'll wrap up this episode here. As ever, if you have any questions or just comments, you can leave them below. You can hit the like button, you can subscribe to my channel, and as always, stay tuned for more.